we had to watch them move our things out of the house, loading them on the trucks. We had to watch them, pulling down the corrugated iron from the roof, and, pulling down things and loading things onto those two trucks. It was very uncomfortable. And within an hour or two, all our things, all our belongings, were reduced to, to a truck full of belonging. What used to be a house was now reduced to ruins and dust. Yeah, but you must umtshela ugogo ukuthi when you're Rustenburg. Ngathi, but uyamazi ukuthi unjani. How is you going to react? Hey,
this is your aunt.
This is my aunt.
Yeah.
Then when I broke that news to ugogo that evening, all hell broke loose.
Yo.
Hey. There's no insult that she reserved.
She used every African's insult.
Yeah, she used it all and told me that I will die. Nobody will know. The government will bury me. Nobody will know what happened. To be a doctor is my dream. To be a broadcaster is my passion. Yeah. To be a teacher is my lifestyle.
And you've ticked all those boxes.
Hey. Yeah. Yeah, man. Izulu mabandla kamjukwane kandaba zilomnyama ndlela zimhlophe nina bakwamalandela nilandela inkomo zamadoda Ronnie Masilela usenmema ise-Orlando Stadium umdlalo we-Mainstay Cup final phakathi kwe-Orlando Pirates ezikamagebhula ezimnyama ngenkani ne-Kaizer Chiefs abafana boxolo nokuthula. Ngikhuluma nawe njena sengise-Orlando Stadium ihlwele ngehlwele zabantu abantu bagcwele bayaphuphuma. Hey. Ngizokutshela ukuthi-ke bushele kanjani ngapha kuyona i-Orlando Pirates, kukhona uPatson Banda, kukhona uShakes Mashaba, kukhona u-Easter Khomane, kukhona uMebracosa, uChili Boy Kolo, Tiger Mtawu uMen Leroke, kukhona lapha no-Webster Chaba, kukhona lapha nakuJomo Solo. Ngeza nabo ngabanika ama-reserve. Ngikhumbula one time ngiyobona u-Itswe ngehlizwe kanje, u-Itswe ngibuka. Ethi uyale Ronnie ngikawuthusha kae. Ethi hayi doc man gore man Korlena, I want to become a doctor, so ne kere ke tlo kry advice nyana. I knew all of them. I have learned in life to fight in the sea, to fight in the air, to fight on all fronts. Whatever it takes, but let it be a good fight. Don't harm anybody. Let it be a fight. Fight a good fight. And keep focusing. Do your best, and God will do the rest.
King David Studio Podcast.
How do you end up on radio? Don't tell me it's Dr. Robertson.
This time it's not Dr. Robertson.
I'll be blown away.
But it's another miracle.
Okay, let me hear it.
I am back. Lapha to the Shabangus. Njengoba ngisho ngithi no la eMamelodi.
Oh yeah.
Lapha eLongchill.
Yes.
The Shabangus, remember, they are now my new home.
Yeah.
Ngilapho ke I've dropped out manje eTef. I've dropped out eTef.
Why did you drop out?
There was no money. The admin, I was financially excluded.
Okay.
So then I looked for a job. So ngangivuka every morning ngiye edrobheni ngiyofuna umsebenzi ngawutholi.
Hlala
eMamelodi.
Okay.
On this occasion, it was somewhere now in March 1982. Ngiyavuka on this occasion ngiye edrobheni ngomaketha umsebenzi ngawutholi. At about 11 o'clock. Ngihlezi lapha ePretoria B. Ngifuna isitimela esiya eMamelodi. Another miracle happened. Ngihlezi lapha. And something, it was like this. It was like I was convicted, something. Masilela, Ronnie, you have always iconized the Radio Zulu commentators. And your time has come to be one of them. Wow. Stand up and go and phone. Yabantu kuba sengathi ngiyaphaphama. Ngichecka lapha in my pocket. Nginama 20-cent coin awu-2. 20-cent coin awu-2. Now, telephone booth, uyayazi telephone
box.
Tiki box kulenga i-diary lapha.
Yes.
ngivule le telefone, Radio Zulu Johannesburg. Ngiyaphenya. I look, I find the number lapho. Radio Zulu office. Omroepers, announcers, Palwe Afrikaans and English. It's 011 714 2635. No, it's 0635. Okay. In phone. I find a gentleman, one of the Radio Zulu announcers. I'm not going to say who because it's somebody you know. Like Johannesburg,
Okay.
not in Durban.
Yeah.
Ngithi msakazi, I'm very sorry man ukunhlupha. Bengithi ngifuna ukubuza nje ukuthi don't you have a post lapha ina for don't you need an umuntu ozoba umsakazi. Wangithethisa. Yeah, it's because awilaleli radio. Ukuba ayilaleli radio you would have heard ukuthi ke kune advert, that's running at the moment and sifuna abasakazi abawu-2. One in Durban, one in Johannesburg, and because awulaleli, uzolokhu sihlupha lana thina siyasebenza la. Ngathi, oh, thank you, sir. Ngathi, no, but the key thing, whether ungithethisile lo muntu or not, the key thing is there is a post. Now, imagine, during those days, that thing was something like closed circuit. If Radio Zulu operates ngabasakazi about 22, it will be 22, and for maybe it can be maybe 4 or 5 years. Kungekho umuntu ohambayo, kungekho umuntu oshonayo.
That's it.
And then
that's how it works.
Yes, then akho post.
It's still the same now.
On this occasion, there was a post.
Yeah.
The very same page ngiqhubeka ngithi okay manje lo uyangithethisa zohlukana naye. Ithi ngifuna iboss yakhe. Ngibona lapha WIF director. Oh, director. Ngoni services. Ngathi this must be the boss. Ithi 011 7140622. Right. Phone. Mr. Low. Ukhona? Yes, Mr. Low. Mangifone at that moment. Ukhona eofisini.
Yes.
Ngiyamthola. Ngithi meneer yeah, manje sengisebenzisa my last 20 cent ke manje.
Oh yes, I forget you have little money.
Got little money. Ngithi man meneer ngithi bengithi angifone ngoba manje sengizwele ukuthi ke when you are
you're the wolf.
Just the wolf, meneer is the wolf and meneer sobsoek na 2 omroepers. So bengithi njena ngikutshela ukuthi sengiyafulela iproblem yakho. Because njengoba ufuna ama omroeper awu-2, I think from now on you must just worry about Durban, but wala igoli so ngiphelele. Ngathi ngithi no meneer njengoba ngikhuluma nawe njena I am the omroeper that you are looking for in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
When can I start? Nee man ons werk nie so nie man. Vis J, ngathi no mina ngingumasilela wangibuza ama question. Yeah, no, what bedoel jy? Ngithi no mina ngizwele ukuthi wena you are looking for an omroeper. So what I'm saying meneer ngithi mina the omroeper that you are looking for him.
Yeah, you found him.
You found him meneer, I've solved your problem. But you are only left with one problem in Durban.
Solve that.
Solve le yase problem. Yase Durban mina I've solved le yase.
You're such a confident, cocky, potential employee.
To Mr. Low, okay. Yeah, so sathi sakhuluma yakhathi phone.
Hey, man.
Ene manje angisena mali. Sengilinde istimela. Cut a long story short, safika istimela, Mamelodi, ngifike eMamelodi. Akusena mali yeteksi ngahle East Fabric ngamona laphana. Ngiyagijima. Yabona le shortcut la kunemkhukhu manje. No, there are houses.
Yeah.
Behind Makulu Upan.
I see exactly what you're talking about.
Ngiyagijima, gijimela lapha elong. Mangifika lapha yena ke fortunately ifone yala ekhaya.
I think kunani manje buffer zone.
Yes.
Yes.
Ngithi man ngifika la ekhaya ngitshela umamfundisi umruti akekho. Mamfundisi asaplief sicela ukusebenzisa ifone kamfundisi. This is what happened. Kulungile. Mangithi for the second time ngimthole Mr. Low.
He's still there.
Yeah, he's still there. Cut a long story short, Mr. Low, listen, Usian, luister. Lana sine criteria la. You know, for you to be a Radio Zulu presenter la on this radio station, Leo Kuluma ngayo, there are 3 things that you must have. Let me ask you one by one, if you have those, before ngikuthumela i-application form. At number 1, we are looking for a person who is born and bred and attended schooling sakhe KZN, a person who's able to speak Zulu fluently. Number 2, I'm looking for a person who has got a matric and 2 years tertiary.
Okay.
Either a diploma or a minimum or a degree. Number 3, I'm looking for a person who's got a Code 8 driver's license. Do you have all these 3? Ngathi meneer, uyazukthini? I cannot give a yes or no answer. Let's go through them one by one at a time.
Yeah.
Ngathi number 1, about being born and bred in KZN. I mean, I'm not born and bred in KZN. But don't hold it against me because it's not my fault. I could not have chosen ukuthi ngizalelwa kuphi. Please, give me a tick for that one. That one is out of my control. Mina bekufanele ngikhethe kanjani ukuthi ngifuna ukuzalelwa kuphi.
You're forcing a tick.
Ngathi, however, mina, though I added a little lie there, but siyesayilungisa mina naye.
Okay.
Ngathi, no, mina I attended school kwadlangezwa. I didn't say for 1 year.
Of course.
Ngathi, no, mina ngafunda mina kwadlangezwa.
I lived there.
Yes. But okay. Ngathi, on the issue ye 2 years tertiary, meneer mina ngi-matric nginayo. And I spent 2 years at the University of the North.
Yeah.
I was financially excluded. Can you imagine, meneer, what would have happened if I had spent those 2 years getting a teacher's diploma? I would have come up with a teacher's diploma. So, mina, I spent 2 years at tertiary. Forget the fact that I came back empty-handed. But I was there. Give me a tick for that.
You're posting these ticks.
Ngathi, meneer, on the last issue, a driver's license. I do not have a Code 8 driver's license.
Yeah.
What I have 5 learner's driver's licenses that expired. And because of ukuswela imali, I was hopping from one driving school to the other, trying to get a driver's license.
Yeah, you're forced.
And lama learner's license awu-5 ngizokuphathela wona. Yeah, when give me the job. And once I can have a job, license ngayithola within 4 months.
Yeah, don't worry.
But okay, no, right.
You had nothing, eh?
Nothing. What do Mr. Low? Okay, Ronnie. Okay. Come on, do that. Give me your physical address. I will send you a form. Then you fill in that form. And then once I receive your form, I will go through it. And then we will call you. We will decide if you call you for an interview. Ngathi meneer, angisebenzi mina kanjalo. Wena uthumele mina iform.
Ngokumele.
Hayi, ngathi meneer angisebenzi kanjalo. Wena give me your address. Mina, I go to where the form is. Ngitshela ukuthi le form ikuphi. I will go. I don't want the form to come to me. The form is not looking for a job. I'm looking for a job. Imini ngifuna ijobs. Ngizoya la iform ikhona. If that form is in your office, I'll be in your office tomorrow. But okay, come na mekantoor ngathi mina tomorrow morning 10 o'clock I'll be in your office.
You went to Auckland Park.
I've never been to Johannesburg. I don't know where Johannesburg is. That evening, one of the daughters Mfundisi is a very understanding lady. Usisitogo. She was 2 years older than me. She was a teacher in one of the schools. Said to her, she's a person I would go to mangnama problem. In fact, sonke la Mfundisi, if you have an issue, we know that Usisitogo is a person, is your go-to person. It is Usisitogo. There's a promise of a job in Auckland Park in Johannesburg tomorrow. Only 5 rand, just 5 rand for a imali ticket. Cut a long story short, this is Togo 5 rand. The following morning, very early, about 4 o'clock, I was already up. Yes, the fabric. Pretoria A, Pretoria B, Emilio na Johannesburg.
Yes.
Manje ngiyabuza kusisitogo. Manje mangifike kule ndawo nithi itimela zima kuphi eJohannesburg Park Station.
Yes.
Ngizobona kanjani mase ngifikile. Bathi manje muthi mara ukuthi manje uzobona njena kwehla wonke umuntu la. Because it's an all change.
True.
Istimela sihambe. When we approached Park Station, nobody told me that this was Park Station. You just had that feeling. That's how big Park Station was. For the first time in my life, ngifike Park Station.
Yeah.
La ngihlezi khona, I am able to see the Johannesburg Station is right there. But this must be Park Station. Istimela singena sengathi siyasaba, sinyonyoba kancane kancane. Curving and curling. Meandering through, choosing very carefully. Ayizohamba khona. And then that's it. Lapho la sima khona istimela, ngabona wonke umuntu esukuma ngathi nami ngiyasukuma. Sefikile. The place is massive. The place is big. Abantu baningi. There are lights all over. There are lights all over the place. There are people all over the place. Kunama escalator. People you are phezulu.
So fike Joe's mice.
Jim comes to Joburg. Another miracle.
Yeah.
Mangiphutshuka phezulu. I don't know where east ngakuphi, west ngakuphi. I'm disorientated.
Of course.
Ngathi no. Let me get my bearings right. Ngifuna ikhona. Then I move to a quiet.
Uplome nje.
Yeah, just to relax nje.
Choices akumangazi.
Ngithe ngisamile Kamkhushu. A lady that I know.
Madoda.
Miriam Mabuza from Denelton. She was my classmate. Right from primary, from Epaledi up to Khotala for 4 years. Miriam ubekwa yini la? Hayi Ronnie ngifunda la eVets. Wena Ronnie ufunani la? I narrated her story. Ngathi Miriam, this is my story. Ngimile la kufanele ngiye Auckland Park.
Angazi yaphi.
Angazi ukuthi ngiyakuphi. Ingakuphi Auckland Park. Hey Ronnie, before sifika lapho Ronnie, ithi ngibona iticket lakho. That ticket. Ronnie, leli ticket lakho liphelela la. Liphelela la ePark Station. Alidluleli phambili. You need another ticket yokwehla eBramfontein. Asambe uthenga iticket unemali? Anginayo. Miriam had to buy me another ticket
to Bram.
From Park Station to Bram. Miriam took me wangibeka platform 1. She helped me wait for the ride. But istimela wena Ronnie ubamba istimela siye Soweto. Siqala ngo 9:03 something. And mawungenile Ronnie ungahlali phansi ume, but not ngasemnyango bazophusha, but ume at a safe place
because uyahlika manje
ngoba uzohlika manje.
Yes.
And when uzokwehla eBramfontein,
yeah,
and istage sokuqala nje mawusuka la wehle lapho Ronnie, then uzobona umbhoshongo and ulandele nje, you go walk towards that mbhoshongo. Now what would have happened if Miriam did not pitch?
Sure. You would have struggled to get to SABC.
I think by about 9:30, I was at the reception.
Yo.
I phoned Mr. Lowe. He sent somebody to come and fetch me. I filled in the forms. Gave them all the papers that they required.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Lowe looked at me, sent me to my would-be manager, sent somebody, take me to the announcer's office, and I sat there. After I filled in the forms, then now it was time for me to go back. I thought, okay, now we will call you for an interview. Interview. Okay. What is that now? What is an interview?
Yeah.
Fortunately, the person who walked me to the reception was Mtutuzi Hlope. I looked at, and he was one of my icons. And I looked at him, he looked very friendly. Something told me that I could trust him. But, Babu Hlope, man bengithi angibuze man. Umenier la uthi nizongibiza for i-interview. I've never been in an interview. I don't know interview yini.
Sure.
I'm not saying tell me the answers. Just give me a picture of what's going to happen. Then he started narrating. We will give you lento inama section. There's a section to test your general knowledge.
Okay.
There's a section to test your ability to translate. We will give you news bulletins, old news bulletins. there's a section where you are going to have to read English, Afrikaans, and Zulu. The last section, we will ask you maybe to do a soccer commentary, but asikubonisi lutho. We will just say, imagine yourself, say Orlando Stadium, and here is Chiefs and Pirates. Or maybe, boxing nangu, Harikotsi, Anthony Blue Jagwa Morodi, or ex Kilangate. Then you but lapho asikubonisi lutho. Fanele uyicabange. Athi Mr. Hlophe ngiyabonga.
He helped you, eh?
Cool.
Yeah.
That thing helped me so much. Ngathi uma ngifika eMamelodi kwaphela ukumaketha, I stopped going to kuvukela edrobheni every morning ngiyofuna umsebenzi. What I would do now, I'm preparing myself for the interview.
Yeah.
How do I prepare? I take my radio. I bought myself a radio when I was at the mines. That my radio was my friend. I would listen to the news bulletins in English and Afrikaans and quickly switch over to Zulu to hear the news that I've heard in Afrikaans, what I've heard in English, how do they put it in Zulu, and write out notes as fast as I can.
Wow.
I would do that the whole day. In the afternoons, ngiyehlathini yabona, during those days mawulapha ema-17 kwakunesiganga lapha.
Oh, yes, I see that.
Towards the east. I would go there and I would do soccer commentary. Abantu abadlulayo bathi, hayi lo uRonnie lo mfana uhlala lapha komfundisi. No.
Sangena.
Athi Zulu mabandla kamjukwane kantaba zilomnyama ndlela zimhlophe nina bakwamalandela enilandela inkomo zamadoda. NginguRonnie Masilela ngiyanimema ngise-Orlando Stadium, umdlalo omkhulu phakathi kwamaqembu, iqembu le-Orlando Pirates esikaMakepula ezimnyama ngenkani. I followed Uthetha Masombuka very closely, and I knew what to say.
Yeah.
I prepared that for about 3 weeks. And later on, I got a message with the 1st of April, I must be at Auckland Park for an interview. I'm going to leave out a lot of other things now. On the 1st of April, 1982, I'm at Auckland Park now. Though my trip to Auckland Park, to Soweto the second time, there was a lot of drama, how I got lost. I got lost. I got lost at Soweto.
Bofunani Soweto?
No.
Why did you have to go that far?
I had to go to Soweto because the interview qala ngo-8.
Okay.
And I realized ukuthi mangizoqala Pretoria, I may not make it.
Okay,
To
it's
Auckland
too
Park.
early.
It's too early.
Yeah.
So the best thing fanele ngiyolala eSoweto.
Okay.
I've got an address of people that I know from TEF. Umzalwane uSis Rose Ramaklafi ohlala eMfulo. Ngiyamfonela, she was a tutor la ePara. Ukuthi, I'm coming, can I come? But it's all right, you can come.
Yeah.
Usis Rose, I don't know, maybe I misunderstood her ukuthi ngehle kuphi.
This is the
I
day
think
before.
It's the day before.
Yeah.
So ngibamba isitimela a day before on the 31st of March, so that tomorrow ngikwazi ukuya. And ngiyemfulo North. I think mina ngehle Phumulongo somewhere.
Yeah.
2 stations before la kufanele ngehle khona. Mangithi ngiyahla lapho ngifuna imfulo North, akho umuntu bathi hayi imfulo North ile.
Good le.
Hey man, ngihambe ngeinyawo ngihambe ngiyifune le mfulo North man ngingayitholi.
What do you do? Where do you sleep?
Yazi kwaphela something like, I think ngafika la eGoli, I think it was 11 o'clock. I think leya ndawo ngize ngayithola ngaboma 5.
Yeah. Walked.
Yes. Angithi enye into usaba nokubuza.
Hey.
Usaba-
Yeah.
usaba-
Ngoba uthe uyayisaba vele
Yes.
chose.
But man, eventually ngayithola and I was so exhausted. I'm hungry, I'm exhausted. Ngithole i-address. This is yiyo le ndlu.
Yeah.
Ngivula igate, no alikhiwanga. But akho umuntu. Ish. But i-address yiyo le. Mpanza Street, Mpanza Street. 1061. Oh. Ngiye ngale ngemuva. The kitchen door, akho umuntu. Bheke i-washing line, ngibona ama-item, ama-face cloth and stuff. Ngithi but labantu bavuke la.
Bazolala.
Labantu bazolala. Ngihlale le ncike against the kitchen door.
Yeah.
Ziye ngobuthongo. Somewhere ngaboma 6, 6:30 angena wafika uSis Rose. She was shocked. Ephraim ube working. All I could say was matata sis Rose. Matata. She could say ukuthi I'm dehydrated, I'm finished, I'm hungry, ngifake endlini wangenzela ukudla. And her husband, Pupra Joel, came, she introduced me. Abazalwane together at TEF. They prayed with me, we prayed for the interviews. Following morning, very early, wangivusa uPra Joe, wangenzela coffee, wanginika ama-roll awu-2. Ngadla ngasutha, waya nami ye-station. Wathi ndasiye. Then nake wafika wehla somewhere, he was an electrician, la eSoweto. I think it was somewhere 7:15 I was at Auckland Park.
Yeah,
ngahlala lapha reception. Hayi nangempela qala ama-interview. Yonke lento umdu wangitshele yona. Yayinjalo.
Step by step.
Step by step. The first 30 minutes general knowledge, then translations, then the reading part, then all blah blah blah. After 2 hours of being interviewed now, but he gave me, hey, Mfoka Masilela, now I'm this side, this studio. There's a glass separating us.
Yeah.
Ntutuzi Hlophe, Manzolwandle Khatebe, who was a technician, they are on the other side with 2 belungus. Mina I'm alone this side. Bauna 4. Atige, Mfoka Masilela, we are now going to the last party interview.
Okay. What is that?
Masilela, gule part we are not going to show you anything. When you must just use your imagination. But you have a choice. You can imagine, you just have a, ilukuzana, istombe of a house on fire, and we send you there with a microphone, and we ask you to describe what you see. There's a building in downtown Johannesburg on fire with ubonani. Secondly, you can ungasenzela njena umdlalo weboxing isibhakela usakazela isibhakela, maybe so and so versus so and so, but wena uzozikhethela. Maybe Kherekotsiye, Kaliknutse, maybe Big John Tate and blah blah blah. Anyone uzozikhethela, but a boxing njena a boxing bout.
Yeah.
Eyesithathu ke ungakhetha mhlawumbe ukusakaza ibhola, maybe you are Orlando Stadium or Ellis Park, ukuthi here's a game. Ukuthi how are you going to handle that? Ngasho ngathi nakho.
You've done this before now.
Ngathi yabona ke manje. If they have ever seen a best foot forward, now they will see a best foot forward.
Yeah.
But okay, katisibane sibomvu Mfoka Masilela, and then you can start. I took a deep breath. Mangivula amehlo, isibane sibomvu was on. I said my prayer in 2 seconds. Athi Nkosi, ngiyakumema, ngicela ukela. Hey! Yeah. Haya man. Izulu mabantu lakamjukwane kandaba silomnyamandlela zimhlophe nina bakwamalandela nilandela inkomo zamadoda Ronnie Masilela usenmema ise-Orlando Stadium umdlalo we-Mainstay Cup final phakathi kwe-Orlando Pirates ezigamagebhula ezimnyama ngenkani ne-Kaizer Chiefs abafana boxolo nokuthula. Ngikhuluma nawe njena sengise-Orlando Stadium ihlwele ngehlwele zabantu, abantu bagcwele bayaphuphuma. Hey. Ngizokutshela ukuthi-ke bushele kanjani ngapha kuyona i-Orlando Pirates, kukhona uPatson Banda, kukhona uShakes Mashaba, kukhona u-Easter Khomane, kukhona uMebrakosa, uChili Boy Koloma, Tiger Mtawu uMen Leroke, kukhona lapha no-Webster Chaba, kukhona lapha nakuJomo Sono. Ngeza nabo ngabanika ama-reserve. Abahlezi emabhentshini.
Abahlezi emabhentshini.
Athi Kaizer Chiefs uboshile kanje khona uBanks Hloli, khona uRaider Mfukeng, kweGerald Mkababa Dlamini, kukhona lapho uTenten Zimane, kukhona lapha ke manje uJake Yasinamali Masike, khona lapho uMaria ke manje Nancy Computer, khona lapha uBele Blush, khona lapha ke manje uValdez is coming home, uShaka Ncobo, khona uPisa Dlamini, khona uMabheka Phansi uIsinselweni njengesambane. Abahlezi ngaphandle laba balandelayo.
Wow.
I gave them that, and I gave them referee, I gave them abo linesman. Ngadayi lasuka lahlala e-Orlando Stadium. Finally ke manje ka 1980 ke lena phakathi kwe-Orlando Pirates ne-Kaizer Chiefs manje ipolalisa ne-Pirates ke manje nangu Jomo Sono equmqa kwe-center ke manje lapha ku-Webster. I gave them that commentary and I did not breathe. along the line, then I felt that I needed to breathe. I felt I needed to breathe and take, at least ngiphuze my lungs. Ngathi now how am I going to do that? Nangu manje lapha yena ke wathi uyalikhahlela ibhola lapho Easter Khomani ibhola laphumela ngaphandle.
Wathi ithi kuphumule ibhola liphumele ngaphandle. Wow.
I gave that commentary. After the commentary, kwaba sengathi kudlule an angel. There was silence. I could see the shock on the other side of the screen. I could see the shock. And ngasho ngathi no, I've put them in their place.
Yeah.
Ngathi no, angibatholile.
Watholile.
I waited and waited. Later on, kwezumntu duduza ehlophe. He's now walking me now out. Ngathi no, I must be strategic. I must be smart. Ngingaphaphi. I'm not going to say anything. Whatever word will come from Umdu will give me an indication what happened there. I wait for him to say something. Whatever he will say.
Yeah, you're not going to ask him.
I'm not going to ask.
Yes.
I'm going to keep quiet. Ngati, whatever Mdu will say will give me an indication.
Yeah.
And I waited. Mdu he lit his cigarette. For Masilela. Umthetho wakho ibhola leli kusho ukuthi uyalithanda.
I was good enough, eh?
Ngathi Mr. Hlophe ukuthi understand. Uma uthi ngiyalithanda, I want him to come with me. Ngathi okay, no. This is a good sign. Ngiyalithanda ibhola. Ngathi no, but I want a little more. Maybe just one or two more sentences will give me a clearer picture. Ngathi no, Mr. Hlophe ukuthi angizwisisi uma uthi ngiyalithanda ibhola.
Sho kanjani?
Usho kanjani? Hey. Hayi bashaqekile abelungu. Awu bashaqwe yini Mr. Hlophe? Baphikisana ke labelungu ukuthi wena usakaza sengathi uqweqwe lomsakazo. Ukuthi wawulisakaza people la phambeleni. Ngathi hayi. I mean, obviously, ngaleso sikhathi there was only one radio station for each black language. So where would I otherwise? Ngathi hayi manje uma ubona ke Mr. Hlophe, ubona ukuthi ke amathuba ami sikakazi ke mfuka Masilela ngoba kuningi kusazodidiyelwa yonke into. Futhi ke nibaningi ngisho nibe la ku 300 kanjalo. That was now 1st of April. But they'll give me the results after 2 weeks. 2 weeks came, 2 weeks went, no results. 3 weeks, nothing. 4 weeks, nothing. End of April, nothing. First week, May, nothing. Second week, May, nothing.
You're waiting patiently.
I'm waiting impatiently, actually.
You have hope.
I have that hope.
Yeah.
It's 27, is it the 27 or the 28th? Friday. Ifoni yala kwamfundisi ayisebenzi. But in a phone lase next door yasebenza lapha yena ke ukuthi our next doors. Hey, ngihambe ngiyocela ifoni. Let me phone. It was Friday, I think it was around about 27, 28 May. Phone. Ngithole usekretary of the would-be manager, not Kalu. Ngithi man, I've been waiting and waiting. And so far, there's nothing. But yeah, no, the thing is we are busy writing out letters because the interviews had come and gone and simtholile umuntu ke esimdingayo. Unfortunately, you were not successful. So now we are busy issuing letters to all the applicants who were not successful.
Yeah.
Ngathi come again. Ati no, wena, unfortunately, you're one of those who did not succeed. Manje uyabona uma ulapha yena ke elongthile mawukhuphuka uyalapha esontweni yanhiye kuyakhuphuka. I felt dizzy. I felt ukuthi ngizocollapse. Khuphuka le ntaba ngangena eroomini lethu la ngilala khona with the other boys. I faced the wall. I faced towards the wall, and I cried and cried and cried. I cried tears for about 10, 15 minutes, and asking God what he can do, what's going on. After about 15 minutes, ngathi mina, no, I'm changing now. I woke up, ngaye bathroom ngageza ubuso bami. And I went back to la ngangipracticela khona lapha ehlathini. And I prayed to God. And I said to God, Lord, I do not know what happened today. I do not know what happened in my interviews. But mina, I reject everything I've heard today. I reject, I'm not accepting this when you are still going to give me my results and my interviews. I'm waiting.
Jeez.
And I adopted that stance. And from that day, I told myself, I'm still waiting. Nala kwamfundisi uyangibuza, kanti ama-results aphuma nini? Ngithi, yes, labantu base-Auckland Park. Bathatha isikhathi, man, I don't know what's going on here. In the meantime, ngathola a peace job yokuba a teacher. One teacher left. And then I was asked to ngiyofundisa maths at the school, June, July. Somewhere, I think it was 17 August, ngiphume emsebenzini. La ngiteacher khona lapha eLhlabile, Mamelodi. eLhlabile was a secondary school. Ngangifundisa lapho. I come home, there's a message for me from Auckland Park. Written in, red ballpoint. Somebody used a red ballpoint in the study. Sikamfundisi. Ukuthi here's a number, I must phone that number. SABC. Athi, yeah, SABC phoned, but uba phonele SABC. Imagine, I mean, I went in my interview, April.
You still haven't received the letter?
No.
Yes. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
The following morning, bafonel. Ngithole somebody I know from TEF who was doing B admin. Hey, Thabo. Ngithi, but who's that? Thabo, who? Yeah, Ifi. Thabo, so lapha SABC. Yeah, hayi ngiqale nje in about 4-5 months nje ngiqalile. Thabo man, no, congratulations, bro man. But then I received this call ukuthi no nifonile and nithi I must phone you back. What's going on? Oh, Ifi, let me just check. Hold on. Angithi ba u-apply le job lapha kwa Radio Zulu. Ngithi ya Thabo man ngi-applyela ngithi labantu bathe abangifoni. And now what's going on now? No, ba ungathi bayakufona ngathi Thabo, please me ungadlali ngami. But okay, hold on. Ithi ngicheck ifile yakho. Sengine-file.
Une-file.
Ngathi ngina sengine-file SABC. No, okay, let's check. Let's just verify. Angithi amagama akho Ephraim Ronnie Masilela. ID 5555869. Denelton ngathi Thabo, listen. Ungabusayo kude bro. Konke lokhu leyo file leyo.
Yimi lo.
Eyami lo.
Yeah.
Yimi lo. But okay. Manje Ifi ungafika nini because labantu bathi 1st of September kufanele uzoqala. So you've got about 12-13 days ukuthi ke ulungise ube la. Ngathi 1st September. Ngacheck calendar. It will be a Wednesday. Ngathi yeah. Hayi ngizobe ngikhona. Tell them that I'm coming.
That's how you got the job.
That's how I got the job.
Amazing. How long were you there for?
10 years.
My gosh. From that humble beginning. Wow. Was it a good 10 years?
It was extremely good.
Did it change your life?
It changed my life, yes.
But the dream of being a doctor remained?
Yes.
That never left you?
I don't think I'm a complex human being. Though I've got a friend, was a USA, who says, in a good way, he said, I'm a very complex and complicated character. Mfundisi, a preacher, was a USA, Mzalwane, a very close friend of mine. To be a doctor has always been my dream. And I was not going to accept anything but to be a doctor. I also knew that somewhere along the line I have to be a radio presenter. But how things were going to pan out, I did not have a plan.
Yes.
I always say, To be a doctor is my dream. To be a broadcaster is my passion. To be a teacher is my lifestyle.
Wow.
And to be a Christian is my second nature.
And you've ticked all those boxes.
I still hope to tick them better. So I knew I was very close. As I'm saying, that radio of mine, it brought me closer to the Radio Zulu people. I idolized them. I iconized them. They were almost to a point. You know, I think if I had not worked with them, I don't know what was going to happen. But they were very good and they were very unique. And each one of them had a unique talent.
That's true.
Elijah Teta Masombuga was our highlight on our weekend. We knew that if it was Friday, it's either you go and buy a new battery or uthathi battery lakho PM9 eldala ulbeka elangeni because tomorrow i-Chiefs ne-Pirates and awufuni ukuphazanyiswa, awufuni ukuphoxwa i-radio. That was Elijah Teta Masombuga. We had Joshua Mlaba, Linda's father. That man we knew, New Year, you would start looking forward already on Christmas. Then you start looking forward to New Year. Come New Year Eve, I'm telling you, even Sotus, Tsongas, people who were not speaking Zulu would tune in to Radio Zulu. You had Kansas City Mkhulu, you had Uthokozani Nen. Uthokozani, he was sasithi uMasihlakwe izinto, you know, zesiZulu, we would phone him. And of course, you had Ntutuzi Hlophe, the one who welcomed me. Ntutuzi Hlophe, the one who gave me an idea of what an interview is all about. Ntutuzi Hlophe, who was kind to me during my difficulty as SABC. You had Osagies Twala, and you know, and you had all of them. But the ones that I've mentioned, that they were all there was so much talent on the radio at the time. But there were these few, like the ones that I've mentioned, who would always who stood out for me. And for me, Ronnie Masilela, who was a nobody from Denelton, from that background that I've depicted and that I have painted earlier on, to be counted amongst them, it's a feather in my head. It's a milestone that I will forever cherish. Ukuthi mina no Joshua Mlaba, we were once said to be colleagues. I missed out on an opportunity to be a colleague with Masombuga, because the great legendary Masombuga left SABC in 78. And I tried to influence the processes at SABC to bring him back, and I failed. But for me, to be in the same picture Yabasagas, no Joshua Mlaba, no Kansas City, Soke Simbone Ekbega, Osagies Twala ngapha, it's something that I will forever be grateful for, because those people, I listened to them when I was still a student. And when SABC looked like a bridge too far to cross. But through a Miraculous, I ended up sharing a studio with them.
How did you leave? And having described such a special place, was it a difficult departure?
Extremely. It was, I do not have the words to describe how difficult. It was painful. It was one of the most painful things that I had to do. I lost weight. I'm sure I lost about 5 kg. Makusondela leso sikhathi sokuthi ngihambe ngoba I would draft my resignation letter, and I would in the morning and in the afternoon I would tear it up ngilahle ngithi no ngizoyibhala kusasa.
What was your reason for wanting to leave?
The fear of the unknown. Ukuthi when I thought of ukuhlupheka kwami before SABC, and the change that SABC brought in my life. SABC gave me a voice. SABC today, I may not be the most famous radio presenter. You know, George Foreman was once interviewed, and he was asked, does he think he's the greatest heavyweight boxing ever? And he said, paraphrase, I cannot claim to be the greatest heavyweight boxing champion. I will never claim that. But if one day they make a list of the great heavyweight boxers in the world and my name appears, I will be content with it. And I'm saying the same. I may not have been the greatest sports commentator, but the fact that I am counted amongst them. SABC Radio Zulu, I will forever be grateful, notwithstanding what's going on now, and all the other things, but gave me a voice, and people know about Ronnie Masilela. People know that there was once a Ronnie Masilela around, and this was his little contribution. Small as it may have been, but it was a contribution nonetheless.
Indeed.
And if I thought of the problems indlela engangilamba ngayo, engangihlupheka ngayo before SABC, where I could not buy bread, where I had to run around, ngicela ama 5 rand, nama 2 rand from people.
For decks.
Yes. SABC gave me, they made me umuntu. They gave me a salary. I left SABC, I didn't have much. I went to Medunsa, I had almost nothing because I was working from hand to mouth.
So you left to go enroll for a medical degree?
Yes. What happened was that it was difficult not to become a doctor because every month, I have noticed this, every now and again I would have the same dream. I would dream ukuthi ngiphakathi kwabantu abagqoka ama-lab coat amhlophe. They are either busy in a classroom setup or in a hospital setup. And that dream would come on a regular basis. I idolized the doctors to a point where ngibona ukuthi now it's becoming sinful. Njengomzalwane akufanelanga umuntu abe isithixo esinje. Emamelodi, during my days, the days lezi engikhuluma ngazo, I knew all the doctors. I visited all the doctors. Abo Dr. Itzweng, I would just go to a doctor's room. Ngithi ngifuna ukubona udoctor. Athi ngena. Ngikhumbula one time ngiyobona uItzweng ehlezi kanje, uItzweng engibona. Ethi uyale Ronnie, ngikawuthusha kae? Ethi hayi doc, man, ke gore man, ke gore lena I want to become a doctor. So ne ke re ke tlo kry advice nyana. I knew all of them.
Wow.
And
I know Itzweng very well.
You know Itzweng?
Yes. I know that practice on the main road.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine living from the 17 we open Dr. Itzweng?
It's far.
What Dr. Rambau?
Yes.
I'm
friends with Dr. Rambau's son.
Munna. There were 6 of them during those days.
Dr. Masilela as well.
Ay, man. Now, you know, when I heard Hore, Mamelodi East, there is a medical student. Where's a second year? University of Natal. I will go down and go and hunt him down.
So you can just have a chat.
Yeah, just with him and ngizwa ukuthi wenza medicine. When I walk around at Ropeni or wherever, ngibona leyo nameplate, Dr. F. Itzweng, MBCHP Natal.
Yeah.
I would spend about 10 minutes just to look at this board.
And at this time, you're a famous radio presenter.
No, yes.
You still had this obsession.
Yes. I know, man, it was not right.
You had to do something about it.
It wasn't right. And I would stand and look at this board. Dr. Kumal, Dr. F. I had a friend, Park Station.
Yeah.
Dr. F.S. Kumal, MBCHP, BSc, blah, blah, blah. You know what, man? This MBCHP thing, I
finally we solved it.
Finally solved.
And you did.
Then I started applying. All universities turned me down. Hey, the way universities turned me down, they even turned me down above vets, even if I didn't apply. I would go to the posting to Lingard.
If rejecting apply.
Yes.
Like Maushela. Icherithi angukufuna angikushela.
Angitshelanga mina angazi ukuthi ukhuluma ngani.
Oh, that's funny. You were rejected everywhere.
I was rejected everywhere.
You speak of a special connection with the Medunsa.
Yes. I went to Medunsa, 1990. Before I went to Medunsa, I went to vets, to this professor, vets, who they were the one who I said I wanted him to help me to get into medicine, to get into BSc, before I go to Medunsa. Then this professor said to me, my boy, after he looked at my credentials, what he gave me, professor, after when he went saw everything, what he, my boy, when live vets, we've got two streams, a fast stream and a slow stream. The first stream, it means you must get your BSc in record time. You must get 65 and above in all your courses. And when you won't be able to do that.
Yes.
So when you are not a candidate for BSc, I'm quoting, you have this prestigious job at SABC. Carve yourself a niche within the structures of SABC and see if you can't become a manager or a director. But as for being a doctor, you will never be a doctor.
Forget it.
Yeah. Manje ngihamba nomama sekhaya. We happen to be shopping la edrobheni. Ngathi no ake sidlulela evets.
You're following your obsession again.
Yabona ke manje. Azongitshela kanje phambi kwalo mama. This guy is humiliating me. Maybe bekuzoba ngcono kube bekuthiwa ngihamba ngiyi-1.
Yes.
Ngathi kuye ngicela usukume.
Wow.
Ngathi, Prof, with all due respect, as a parting shot, Prof, you said I will never be a doctor. Yeah, my boy, no, it's not possible. Ngathi, Prof, with all due respect, it's not for you to decide. Ngathi, Prof, God will decide and time will tell.
Yeah.
And you cannot decide on my future. And one day, Prof, just one day, I will be back. And I will remind you of your words.
Tell me you went back and you found him.
I went back and I didn't find him.
Bummer.
Twice.
Bummer.
Then I went to Medunsa. Professor Hale was the principal. I went to his office. And he told me almost the same thing.
Yeah.
But you will never be a doctor. It's difficult. With what I see on paper, it's not possible.
Because they were still using your matric qualification, or rather your matric results.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not okay, fine. The following year, so now ngiphethe lama lokhuzana ama pamphlet asimithi, from the admin. Ngahamba ngaye ekhaya ngisahlala eProtea at the time. That in 1991.
38-year-old or 37.
No, 1991 I'm 37.
Yeah.
One day ngihlezi ekhaya, I had prayed to God because previously I had heard John Bex, who was a 702.
In the morning.
Yes, a 702 presenter interviewing the daughter to P.W. Botha. And there is this thing he asked her, when you are the daughter of the president of the country, is there anything when uyiswelayo ongakwazi uyithola that you wish for that you have not achieved, that your father cannot do for you? I've got everything I need. My father is a president. I was alone because remember I was a soccer commentator. We were not getting overtime. We were getting off during the week for working over weekends. So I was alone at home. Umama sekhaya was at work. She's a nurse. Lapha ngaseGwesbeekers. I heard this and I felt offended. Ngathi mina, I call myself a Christian. And as a Christian, God is my father. Now, who's a better father now? Here's P.W. Botha's daughter telling the entire world when she's got everything. Everything she wants in life, she can have. My father is God, the creator of heaven and earth. I want to be a doctor. How come I'm not a doctor? Is P.W. Botha a better father than God? It cannot be.
Yes.
I'm telling you, Lord, no. Plan. I'm not accepting this discrepancy.
You're telling God, I'm not accepting this.
No. Ngati, I'm refusing to accept this. Ngati, all I know is that when you are God the Almighty, the creator of heavens and earth, and in the Bible, when I pray, I say, my Father who art in heaven. So you are my Father. Here's a father who does everything for his daughter. I am your son.
Do everything.
I need this.
You've done this before, you realize. When you said to God, these results are SAPC, I'm not accepting this.
Yes. Ngaleso skata I would negotiate noNkulunkulu and I would talk to God.
Yeah, I'm not accepting
No,
these results.
no.
Yeah.
Ngathi no. I became a Muslim. Ngathi no, ungangenzi kanjalo. Hayibo, no. I'm not.
I'm not accepting.
Ngathi no. This discrepancy I'm not accepting.
P.W. Botha can be better than me.
Aye. Otherwise, then it means P.W. Botha is better. Yeah, then but P.W. Botha is not my God as far as I know.
Jeez.
No. I walked around like I was mad in that house, Protea. No, this is a very, very, very serious discrepancy, which needs to be fixed. And you are going to fix it.
Yes. That's funny. And there, your prayer was just a struggle to get accepted.
Yes, just to be accepted.
Yes.
I walked around like I was mad in the house. Then later on, ngezwa ukuthi man, hey, sengilambile ngathi amen.
Yeah.
Ngaye kitchen.
Ukulamba made you say amen.
Ngaye kitchen, I think ngenza itiye. In our sitting room, lamaphepha asemedunsa. Bengwabeke nje lapha ekhoneni. Ngabaphathe ngahlala lapha ekhoneni. I've never browsed through them.
Yeah.
So ngihlezi la ngiphuza itiye, I think ngidla nesinkwa ramascones or whatever. I'm going through lamaphepha asemedunsa now. I don't know what I was looking for. Then something caught my attention. Ukuthi iMedunsa is looking for students to do part-time BSc. They want to run a pilot program of part-time BSc students. And they're looking for something like 15 students just to see if this pilot program can go through. Ngabheki wash. Ngathola ukuthi no, it is 25 to 11.
Yeah.
I was driving a Crusader. Angene emotweni.
Why Medunsa?
There and then. Ngathi no, I want to be part of this.
Yeah.
Nangempela bangithatha. Kanti ngiza njena, it's the beginning of 1991. It is the last week. They are waiting for applications. Bangitshela what to bring. Because ngaleso sikhathi I was so excited. I did not think of taking my certificate. I just drove the street. Bangitshela ukuthi no, you'll come back. Where do you come from? Ati Joburg. Oh, but now how are you going? Ati no, I'll come back. Don't worry. It's my petrol, my what. So boy, but yeah, bring this. Angtikele ntombazana yomlungu inomusa. Went back na organize onke lam. Within a week, I was registered as a part-time BSc student in eMedunsa.
38-year-old doing first year.
No, part-time, still 19. I'm still 37. That will go down in the annals of my history as one of the toughest years in my life.
Tell me, what was happening?
I must wake up in the morning, go to Auckland Park, put in a day's shift. At 4 o'clock, I must drive to Medunsa class akala 5 until 11 o'clock.
Epsu.
11 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, I must drive back to Johannesburg. To Protea North.
Yeah.
Sleep. Wake up at 4.
Go to SABC.
Yes.
Yo, talk about commitment.
Ngiyakhumbula one time. It was on a Wednesday, when I'm a Wednesday since I'm a practical chemistry. And one of my colleagues was saying, Ronnie, Ronnie, when I'm a do you really mean gona bjale o tlo driver o ye Joburg? Gape ke nako go robala mos gona bjale Ronnie. Ke mošiu ke nako go robala. I think igama lakhe beku Uviki. Kare ausviki. And what's what bolela net? Le nna I feel gore ke nako ya go robala. Le nako ke yang teng gore what's what bothata ke eng ausviki? Bed ya ka e Joburg. And I must sleep in that bed. Mpeto
wa le bete mo no tla
ge nkabe mpeto wa ka o le mone ke tlo robala.
mo garanku.
Bjale mpeto wa ka o Joburg. Ke latela mpeto wa ka ausviki.
Jeez, eh?
On 2, 3, 4 occasions where I had a close call with death because of fatigue.
While you're driving.
I would fall asleep whilst driving, and the crusade would go.
Ish.
On 3 occasions, it was a close call.
Yeah.
But I passed all my tests. I passed all my trials and my practicals. But then come the end of the year, I failed.
Hematot.
Yeah.
So that tough year did not even yield the right results.
No, it didn't.
But what keeps this, what allows the school, or what makes the school give you another chance?
My performance throughout the year. That's what they
Yes.
said. Because at the end of the year, I went to the dean. Here are my results. Look, test 1, you passed everything. Test 2, you passed everything. June, you passed everything. Test 3 in September, you passed everything. But you failed your final exam.
What do you think happened?
Well, the exams were just too difficult. Maybe there was not enough time to study.
Yeah. Yeah. You had a full life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then the dean said, now, Ronnie, now you must understand, we allow each student only 2 years in a particular year. You have had your first year now. Your first shot at first year BSc. They say your second attempt, should you fail your second attempt, then we will have no choice but to exclude you completely.
Yeah.
That's the point where I realized I need to be full-time.
True.
Then I said, Prof, can you convert me into a full-time student? He said, surely I can do that. There was no hassle in converting me. So yabona imedunsa nayo, I had to ngene ngendlela kaNkulunkulu.
And negotiate. Yes.
First part-time, the part-time paved the way for the full-time.
Yeah.
So ngiyangena ke manje I'm now 1992 when I resigned, when I realized after I received my student card that I'm now full-time BSc 1 Medunsa. Then that's the day I came back and I submitted my resignation. But it was difficult. It was difficult.
What did Umama say at home about this big decision? Because you're leaving a job to go be a student.
Yes.
This is something that young people do.
She supported me.
Yeah.
She realized I was unstoppable. She realized there was nothing. Whether she supported me or not, I was going to go anyway. Yes. I was not going to miss out. So on the 21st of February 1992, Friday was my last shift at SABC. Because on Monday, the 24th of February 1992 was I had to be at Medunsa to walk
as a full-time student.
Yes, as a full-time student.
Wow. And
then that's how, and that year, after a few weeks, that's when I went to Prof Mokokung again. And I said to him, Prof, I'm here for medicine.
I look.
What to Prof, give me results. Then Sizobona at the end of the year. I will personally see to it. I worked very hard. And then the following year, 1993, on the 15th, on the 12th, Friday the 12th, Prof Mokokung finally approved that I be registered as an MBCHP from first year BSc into medicine.
How was that feeling?
Words cannot describe that feeling, because that's a feeling that I've been dreaming about, a feeling that I had been dreaming about, that's a feeling I had fantasized about, that's a feeling that I always wanted. That was my dream. I couldn't believe it was not a dream.
What do you think inspired the need to be a medical doctor? You spoke earlier about Umama, Ugogo being sick, Nomkhulu being sick. I listened to your story and I can't help acknowledge that your guardian angel was a doctor.
My guardian angel was a doctor.
Mm.
I just wanted to be a doctor.
But what was pushing this so hard inside of you? What do you think is the reason for it to become such a north star that you had to follow to the very end?
I felt that was the purpose of my life, and that I felt I'm in this life to be a doctor and nothing less. All these others, are just additions, but I think my main purpose in this life was to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Yes.
The presence of Dr. Robertson, did it influence you at all in the back of your mind?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yes.
You just wanted to be like him.
I wanted to be like him. I just wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Yes, and he maybe was, the epitome of what I wanted to become. I looked at him, the way he interacted with people. Yes, it contributed. But the thing stemmed from standing there as a 9-year-old, 8-year-old, saying a prayer to God, a prayer that I did not even myself understand, and saying to God, please save my grandmother. I wished I could save my grandmother from the pain that she was going through. I want to help my grandmother and other people who are going through the same. I want to understand and why I was such a sickly child. And then here is Dr. Robertson. If I'm like Dr. Robertson, it will help me to understand and to decipher most of these things.
How was your time at Medunsa?
Difficult.
Academics or what part of it?
The lack of finances. Remember, I'm going there, I've got nothing. I went through my first year. Apart from the fact that at home, we were starving, we had nothing. My wife was a nurse. And then now she had to pay off the house. Because from the little money that I got from SABC, I paid half the bond. So she had, to continue with the other half. And then that left us with, something like 300 rand after everything is said and done. And then we could hardly survive.
Sure.
And then it was difficult. Most of the time I had to come home on Fridays to a house with an empty fridge. Sure. And I had to run around to borrow money from friends to a point where people became tired of me. I hated Saturdays because Saturdays were the time where I had to run around and look for and look ukuthi ngizobani ubani ngizomhlupha this time.
Sure.
And more often than not, I would draw a blank. And one other thing that made things difficult for me at Medunsa, I didn't pay my fees.
Okay.
And when I reached my third year, I failed third year. I failed third year, mainly because I think one of the professors I had a problem with, because he said I was not taking my studies seriously. Because what happened was my wife, my wife got usibongile our daughter through Isiza. And then, then she got ill. She was admitted in a hospital. And then I had to babysit and look after the baby. It took me a week. And when I went back to school, this one professor was not happy with me. Come end of the year, the university called me. Ronnie, we think you must go. We are excluding you. We are chasing you away. Number one, you are here, you don't pay your fees. Number two, you don't even pass. So what's the point in keeping you? I tried to argue. They remained adamant that, I must go. I went to Prof. Mukhotlan, your friend. I said to him, Prof, the university wants to exclude me. Mati, Prof, I want to find out from you. I've got a question, Prof. Ati loni yini? Ati, Prof, I want to know. Between 1991 and now, is there any disaster that happened like eskoleni? I don't know, I don't understand. Ati, Prof, I'm just talking about catastrophes. There are these natural catastrophes that happen. Maybe your systems collapse or something happened bad university. Or university shota ngemali ayisakwazi ukubhatala ikwele zayo or something like that. Between 1991 and now, is there anything of that nature that happened? What do Prof know? Prof, may I bring it to your attention that between 1991 and now, I've been here and not paying, and no disaster happened to the university. My plea to you is, if there's no disaster that happened for the first 4 years that you keep me for another 4 years, no disaster will happen to the university.
You're negotiating with the whole university. Jeez.
Ngati Prof, you're admin lapezansi, ground floor. They want me to go, and I said to them, I'm not going anywhere. Ngoba, should I go now, drop out kwa third year, I will not be able to find a job. I will not be able to pay less kwele sala. I will not be able to have money to buy food for my family. But if you give me another 4 years, during which no catastrophe will happen to the university, because no catastrophe happened in the first 4 years, you keep me for another, the university will still survive. I will emerge a doctor. I will be able to pay university back, and I will be a doctor, and I will be able to look after my family. So I'm pleading with you to allow me to hang around.
Did the negotiation work?
Yes, in a way it did. Ati Mokhotlani, Loni? Okay, ngiyakuzwa. Yabona Loni, maybe as a black child in South Africa, I owe you an education. But Loni, I don't owe you my food. Stay away from the canteen, but continue. Zobachela de Masadi will register you. So Mina, for the last 4 years, I could not get food from the university.
Jeez.
I had to buy my own food.
Did you have accommodation at least?
Accommodation was taken away. One day, Mangfege Romani, I found my things, skishiwe, and then in my room they changed the locks. Nothing yaku metron yale what's going on? Hey, Mr. Masilela, batho bana batswenya batho bako admin batlile mona. And I told them, you have an arrangement with the university, but they said there's nothing in writing. They said, wana baya ka list and libiso la gago la tlhagella mo list. So ke tla tshwana gore no ke lo bua le principal. So for about a week, those negotiations, and at the same time I reported the matter to the SRC. That some of us were kicked out of our rooms. While the SRC were negotiating, I would use my car for accommodation.
You slept in your car?
Yes, I slept in the car.
I think it should always be reminded that we're not talking about a young 20-year-old, 21-year-old. We're talking about a time.
Yes.
It's 38. By this time, you are in your 40s. Yes. It's 3 years into the university.
It's 3 years into the university. I'm exactly 40.
You're 40 years old.
Yes. And I would sleep in the car. I went back to the matron, ngatata all the basic things that I needed. My car was like a moving wardrobe.
Sure.
There was a study hall. I would sit in the study hall until very, 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 very late, maybe 1, 2, 3. Mangfuna ukulala ngijekisa isithi yemoto ngilala. 5 o'clock. At least, ires baskiphile. But at least we could still use the shower and their bathroom and their facilities.
Or you could get into
yes.
the rest. Yeah.
Ngabo 5, thatha ithawula ngene eshaweni ngiyageza. Ngishintshela khona la emotweni, la eparking ngishintshela khona lapho. Shintsha ngigqoke ezinye impahla.
Sure.
And go and start my day.
And here we're talking about someone who was once a top-notch radio host. You realize that this was someone who was famous at some point and a decent living for that matter.
It was a decent living. Yeah, we're not rich, but we, you can say that again.
You could buy a house. You could start a
yes,
family.
We could, and we would buy the kind of food we wanted.
Yes.
It was a decent living. You're right.
You
Very
gave
correct.
all of that up. So
Yes.
and then chose to sleep in the car.
Yes.
Emetunes.
Yes, emetunes.
You have to, though, for a second, acknowledge the gift that Professor Mkhotlane gave. To say, I at least I owe you an education as a black child.
He gave me that education, and I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
And I went to him. I went actually to all of them after I completed, to all the professors.
Yeah.
One by one. I wrote letters to the departments to thank them for the opportunity and for allowing me the space, the opportunity to become a doctor.
Did you eventually get accommodation back? Sure.
Yes,
somebody's thinking, what happened here?
Yes, after a week or so, after a week and a few days.
Yeah.
I think it stretched to about close to 2 weeks.
Jeez.
Then for that week, I really looked forward to going home.
Of course.
Friday, you looked so far. Eish, Friday.
Yeah. The little petrol you have, let's just go home. Cressida, it was a lifesaver.
That Cressida, can you imagine? Uhamba ngemoto. It took me, I was at Medunsa for 8 years. And for 8 years, that Cressida, I sang his service. For all those years.
You didn't have the money.
There was no money. Yazi, that car, it was not for 8 years because it got stolen.
Oh, no.
That car looked so bad. Oil. You could not see where is what. That car became my friend.
Yeah.
Because I would wake up on a Monday morning and look at the car and talk to it and say, I'm begging you. I'm begging you.
Yeah.
Just ngifike nje esikoleni. And ngaleso sikhathi ipetrol ye-20 ngangifika ngayo esikoleni. Ngathi yazi ngicela ungithwale nje just ngifike nje esikoleni.
Sure.
And it would do exactly that.
Yeah.
Leyo moto, I made a prayer to God. Hey, mina noNkulunkulu man sisuka kude yabo. Yes, I once prayed to God when I got this Christi. I got that Cressida on the 15th of May, 1987.
Yes.
And they stole it on the 25th of May, 1997. So I had it for 10 years.
10 solid years.
10 years and 10 days.
Yes.
So, but when I got that Cressida, and then I report kuNkulunkulu ngathi manje ngiyabonga. Ngiyabonga ngale transport. My prayer to God was that I know nothing about fixing cars and so on. Ngicela ukuthi should there be a problem ngale moto, may I please have a problem at a place la ngizothola khona usizo. David, can you believe me? It happened exactly like that.
Wow.
There is this one time that I will never forget. Hey, lana ngiphakamisa mina amandla kaNkulunkulu, if you allow me to do that.
Please.
It was a Saturday morning. Ngiyo-attenda i-funeral eMamelodi. Ngiyo-attenda le funeral. I was still at the SABC. Ngiyo-attenda i-funeral eMamelodi. Siqede early ngoba sinqabe ngaboma 9:10. I'm driving back. And i-Pirates yadlala. And I don't miss a Pirates game. Ngathi no, mina ngicela ukuhamba. At least 3 o'clock angiphumelelanga ukuya stadium, but at least ngizoyibuka ku-TV. I don't miss a game Pirates. I drove. On this particular occasion, I remember every trip I stopped over at Ultra Shell. But on this occasion, I didn't. I don't know why.
Jahili game.
I drove straight. Mangifika nasi strat. Isandla sami istrat. Istrat samba kanje. Indlu yami ila.
Yeah.
I must turn left so that ngikwazi ukuface my garage. And my garage I open from the inside.
Okay.
So fanele ngimisa imoto, switch it off.
Okay.
Then ngingena. And I did exactly that. Ngivule igarage. Mangithi ngene emotweni imoto ayisastart.
Hey madoda. Ifeel.
All right. Ngibiza uMasango, my neighbor, naye another Pirates guy, siphushe, sifake garage. I remember I was playing ile cassette Lady Smith, Black Mambas. All of a sudden, everything is dead. The cassette adlali, nothing. Nothing, there's nothing. No, sibuki game. I-game iphele. After i-game ngikhumbule, by the way mina sine-problem. Ngifonele umechanic uBrarish from Pimville.
Yeah.
Brarish, can you please come over, man? Uzochecka le moto. Angazi what's going on. Brarish didn't waste time. I say, check. Ati Brarish, Ronnie, there's something I don't understand. Uti, what happened? Uti, boyephi ngale moto? No, Brarish, I was in Mamelodi, I attended the funeral. And then after the funeral, then I drove straight. Ngithi mangifika la, ngimisa imoto, and then I opened the garage from inside.
I move, yeah.
What do Brarish, Babu Jele, Mr. Jele? What do Ronnie Land ungitshela yona ayenzi sense? Because this car is engine down.
Ke madoda. Marifike la endlini.
Le moto ife i-engine. Now the question is, ife nini le engine? Le engine ifa ngalesikhathi ngifika la phambi kwendlu, which would be a miracle.
Yes.
Le engine ngabe ifele endleleni ngahamba mina nge-engine efile yaze yazofika ekhaya. That would also be. Either way it would be a miracle.
That's the prayer.
Ati, of all the miracles so far, ngale moto, that one is the one up until today. The question is, that engine, if any, ihafa nini le engine? At what point did that engine cease to function?
Yes. When you look at your life,
Yes.
what do you give credit to for and I'll call it the success that you've had or the things that you've managed to achieve? What do you give credit to?
I think I can only give credit to God. Yeah, I think I can only give credit to God. Maybe my contribution to that was only to not give up, to keep fighting, to keep knocking, and to keep going no matter the obstacle in front of me, to keep going and to keep trusting that God will make a way, to keep knocking and to keep saying God will open.
Yeah.
That the door something will give. And to say, I have nothing else but lento ephambi kwami, yimi and the hurdle in front of me. I must face it. Yes.
And you must win.
And I must win.
Yeah.
I must win. To not give up.
Yeah.
To keep fighting.
Who are the people that, if you had to count them in one hand or maybe two, that you would definitely mention and say, Bon, these people made me? Who are those people?
People who contributed.
Yeah. Who made such an amazing contribution that it had to work out, whatever happened.
My grandparents will be first on the list. Dr. Robertson, obviously, and his family, they played a major role. My teachers, some of my teachers, especially from Kotala and from Epaledi. But you say I must count, I must itemize them.
No,
maybe.
Don't you worry. Keep going.
my teachers and my family, unkosikazi wami uBusi, she was there with me through thick and thin.
She didn't lose patience.
She didn't lose patience.
Yeah.
I cannot leave out to Mr. Lowe at SABC. Mr. Lowe played a major role. Mr. Lowe is the one person who gave me the opportunity, because I did not tell you about the problems that I encountered. Inside. Because there was a time when for 18 months or almost a year where I was rendered redundant.
Whoa.
Where I had no program, where I had nothing.
Sure.
But I just woke up in Mamelodi to go and sit in the office and be a messenger boy. But I'm getting a salary of a junior announcer. Mr. Lowe is the one who came to the rescue. I cannot leave out Mr. Lowe. I cannot leave out the role played by some of the senior people SABC who welcomed me and who made me feel comfortable. Despite the fact that I was this nobody, I cannot forget the role come to Tuzehlope. I cannot. I cannot forget the role played by people like Joshua Mlaba. I cannot forget the role played by Diti Ngwenya. I cannot forget the role played by Usipu Mkhize. Those are the ones now within the structures of SABC. I cannot forget the role played by Professor Mokgokung, Professor Mogotlane, Professor Mudiba, Dr. Martin Mpe, Professor Zingu, Dr. Rousseau. I cannot forget the role played by those people. I cannot forget the role played by Professor Patel Ebara. When I did my internship Ebara, when I was marginalized Ebara as an intern, I worked Ebara and I worked in a unit and I was surrounded by blacks. I was surrounded by whites and Indians from VETS and UCT. And I was the only black male from Medunsa. And people wanted to prove that doctors from Medunsa, that I was useless. And they made my life very difficult. And in all the other departments, the department of ONG, I had a very good run. The people I respected me, I worked well. Because, okay, even if in modesty, even if I had to say it myself, I worked very hard. My work was appreciated in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. My work was appreciated in the Department of Surgery. My work was appreciated in the Department of Pediatrics, because that's even where I did my ComServe. But my work was not appreciated in the Department of Internal Medicine. That's where I was badly treated. And that's where I nearly, things nearly went south for me. But there is this one man who stood in my corner, Professor Musa Patel. I cannot forget him. I cannot forget the role played by Dr. Patel, who was the head of pediatrics in POPD in Ward 31. She played a major role. I worked there as a medical officer. I think those are the major role players. Maybe I can also mention Mr. Nyatlo, Impala Platinum. He was my manager. He was my supervisor. But Mr. Low, SAPC, Tate Mogotlane and Professor Mokgokong.
Abantu baseMamelodi, umfundisi.
I cannot forget the role played by Ubabu Shabangu, umfundisi, and his family.
Yeah.
eMamelodi.
Nalo mama waseDenelton.
Umama Johanna Matebula.
Yes. Now I know them. I know them.
I cannot forget the role played by Umama Johanna Matebula and the family yakhe.
Yeah.
I cannot forget the role played by Umama Tibedi, their next doors. Because after a while in Denelton, I moved from the Matebulas to the Tibedis.
Wow.
I cannot forget that role.
Yours is an incredible story. As you put it, I said earlier, and this is a part of some of the re-record I want to do. What is the one word that describes your life?
Perseverance, fighting spirit.
Never giving up.
Never give up. That is what Winston Churchill said. Sir Winston Churchill said, you must never give up. We shall fight them in the air, shall fight them on land, shall fight them in the sea, and we shall never give up. Never, never. I have learned in life to fight in the sea, to fight in the air, to fight on all fronts. Whatever it takes, but let it be a good fight. Don't harm anybody. Let it be a fight. Fight a good fight. And keep focusing. Do your best, and God will do the rest.
Incredible. On that amazing note, I want to wrap up. 5 hours, 55 minutes. One of the longest recordings I've ever done. Wow, Masilela. Yours is an incredible story. It's a story that truly, truly makes my heart happy. And I'm glad you put it in a book. You said there's a new book. There's a new cover. Is it coming out? There's a new book.
Yes, the
With a new
cover
name.
is out already because the new title is But I Survived.
But I Survived.
And after you've heard the story, you will understand why I say, but I survived. Through it all, but I survived.
Let me tell you, if there's ever a book you need to encourage those around you who are starting to lose belief that their life will work out, trust me, this story is one of a man who went through hell and survived.
And survived.
And survived. And became a medical doctor and became a big host on radio. And, he became this amazing. And he went to medical school when he was in his late 30s. Incredible story.
38.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, she's. Yeah, cool. Yeah, she's. Look, you know what? It's 5-6 hours well spent, I'll tell you that. So thank you very much for sharing.
Can I take this opportunity to really thank you for your patience with us, for the platform that you have created for people like me, to create a platform. This is the longest interview that I have had. I have had interviews, but this is the longest where I could really express myself and how I thank God for people like yourself. May I also take this opportunity to thank Ulinda Mlab, the one who brought us together. He fought relentlessly so. He went beyond and above the call of duty to ensure that, he links me up with you. And I know that, about a month or so ago, we wanted to record and, I fell ill. I was very ill.
Yeah, I picked up. We spoke on the phone.
we spoke and I think I had COVID. It was a very, very serious infection, so much so that even now I'm still recovering.
Wow.
Now I thank God for people like yourself who work to create platforms for us to tell our stories. I said to Linda earlier on, I don't have much in a form of material wealth. I really don't have much. But I feel I only have a story. And with this story, this is a story that I want to use. This is a story I want people to know about, because I think there are many people who were and who still are in desperate situations, and those people need motivation. People need to know that it is possible, that yes, they can.
Yeah.
Despite what things look like now, but things can change.
That's true.
And things will change. If a Ronnie Masilela came from nothing, if
Absolutely
a young boy
nothing.
came from Kwandebele, from Jackalstans with nothing, became a radio presenter, and later became a doctor. I always say to people who have the kind of resources that I did not have, because really I came from nothing. And then if a person can come from nothing and go up to where I went, surely some people, one would expect them to go a little further.
That's true.
But at least just to make something with their lives. It's never too late. However, it's not going to be easy. It will be difficult, but keep going.
Do you think you achieved your goal of being the doctor that you wanted? This thing that you pursued so hard. And I know on paper it is, but inside of you, because you know, when you tell the stories of how you would talk to people who were studying medicine just so you can be in their company, surely there was a lot more there than just the title. Do you think you achieved this goal of being a guy who could possibly heal Ugogo? Do you think you feel you've achieved that?
That's a very good question. To answer your question, when I was still at SABC and all the years before that, before I became a doctor, I looked forward. I told myself that, one day when I'm a doctor, by the time I reach my final year, I will be a Ronnie Masilela with all the knowledge in the world. With all the knowledge in the world, I will know everything about the human body, because my fascination was the human body and how it functioned. That was my fascination. That by the time ngifika ku-final year, this is what I shall have achieved. But lo and behold, when I reached my final year, I was one of the most disappointed people. And your answer will be, how come? Because by the time I reached my final year, I realized how little I know.
Wow.
I realized how little I know. The human body is one of the greatest, most complex, most complicated creations of God. This human body is very complicated. And 6 years, 7 years is not enough to understand everything. You understand the basics. Now, to get to your question, I am content to know that I'm Ronnie Masilela, MBCHB. However, I wish that circumstances were different and allowed me to go further. I think I would have been able to say yes to your question if I was a professor in medicine in one of the fields. Had I achieved that, I would be able to say to you yes. My answer would be yes to your question.
Yeah.
So at the moment, my answer is it's partially yes and partially no. However, I am content. I am happy that God allowed me to have the basic and to be called a doctor. Tomorrow, one day, should I pass on and live this life, people will say, here lies Dr. Ronnie Masilela.
Dr. Announcer Ronnie Masilela. Thank you very much. I was caught out here. Now I understand why this had to happen. I understand. I only know he couldn't stop. He pushed for this.
He pushed, and we are grateful to God for him. His father was one of my icons. And fortunately, unknowingly, we worked very well.
On the radio as well.
Yes.
Yes.
There was one time when we shared a program. He was in Durban, I was in Johannesburg. And we broadcast in Afrikaans.
What? Amazing, eh? What a time. Thank you again. Thank you, everybody. It's Dr. Ronnie Masilela. This has been amazing. 6 hours, 4 minutes. Record.
King David Studio Podcast.